Okay, friends, here we go. Chapter 17, The Jaws of Steel. Pearl soon realized that she wasn't watching a star falling from the sky. It was a light, and someone was holding on to it. She darted behind a tree trunk. Her heart pounded as she tried to figure out what to do. She knew instinctively that she had to hide somewhere because someone was coming her way. She tucked her flashlight hand behind her lab coat, and leaning against the tree, she peered around the trunk. The light moved steadily toward the ground. Tree bark pressed into Pearl's cheek. She wished Ben were standing next to her. 2 against 1 is always better odds. As it neared, the light grew too bright to look at. Pearl squinted, allowing her pupils to adjust. Then the light landed. A man stood just a few yards away. He held a small lamp in his right hand and a leather bag in his left, and strapped to his back was a huge moth the size of a dog. Together they had glided down into the dark forest as silently as a leaf falling from a tree. Fear can make the entire body shake. It can turn the stomach to stone and cause thoughts to go in all jumbled directions. So Pearl tried very hard not to be afraid. What she knew was this: Maximus Steel hunted creatures, not people. There was no reason why he would hurt her. The flesh eaters and the Kelpie were much more dangerous. But even so, she thought it would be best to remain hidden. The man set the lamp and the bag on the ground, and then he unstrapped the moth, but kept it tied to the rope, which he then tied around the tree. The moth panted with its furry mouth. Its wings went limp, falling to the ground like crumpled sheets. The lantern's glow illuminated the man's body, which was tall and thin. His pants were tucked into a pair of boots, and a knife hung by his belt. Because a pith helmet shaded his face, she could not get a good look at his features. He crouched and removed something from his backpack. Pearl looked, and the lantern reflected off a small object with a metallic surface. Pearl clenched her jaw. It was the same kind of trap that Maximus Steel had used to catch the rain dragon, only this one was much smaller, and he set it on the ground. Dr. Wu's story swept through Pearl's mind, images of a boy playing the tuba, telling jokes, laughing. And now he was sneaking through a forest, laying a trap to catch a unicorn. Pearl wanted to tell him to stop. She wanted to set free the poor, tired moth. Maximus Steel was pure evil. Turn around, she thought, hoping to see his face so she would know him if she ever ran into him in the real world. But he kept his back to her as he pulled open the sharp teeth of the trap. It clicked into place like the jaws of a shark waiting to feed. The sound echoed through the forest. Uh-oh. A rumbling arose in the distance, and with calm and steady hands, Maximus untied the moth and strapped it to his back. And then he picked up the lantern and bag. Without a word, he jabbed the moth with his elbow. It unfurled its wings and began to flap gracefully, silently, carrying them upward until they vanished into the cloud ceiling. The rumbling grew louder. Holding her flashlight hand, Pearl hurried to the trap. The man's initials, M.S., were etched into the metal. With her free hand, she picked up a fallen branch and shoved it into the open jaw. As the razor-sharp teeth snapped around the wood, a clang rang out. Would Maximus return, thinking he had caught his prey? The forest floor trembled as the rumbling closed in. Pearl didn't know which direction to run. Was there time to climb one of the trees? She spun around. White shapes charged toward her, their petals snapping wildly. The flesh eaters had pulled from their roots from the ground. They were using them like legs. Just in time, Pearl leaped behind a tree. The carnivorous plants ran straight for the trap, the source of the noise. And then they attacked. They flung it around and stomped on it until there was nothing left but mangled bits of metal. Then, as the forest grew silent once more, they tucked their roots back into the ground, closed their petals, and waited for their next meal. This place was getting creepier by the minute. Pearl took off, running deeper and deeper into the forest, forgetting all about the trail of yarn. When her sides began to ache, she stopped. There had been no more white hair, no signs at all that the foal had even come this way. Pearl sank onto a rock, trying to catch her breath. Had she failed? Would Maximus find the lost unicorn before she did? Tears stung the corners of her eyes. She wanted to go back, but she couldn't leave the foal all alone in this evil place. The poor little thing. How could she call out to it without making a noise? She couldn't whistle or snap her fingers. The slightest sound would alert those nasty flesh-eating plants, and possibly Maximus Steel, too. How could Pearl summon the unicorn? And then she had an interesting idea. The path had opened because she had gotten rid of her negative thoughts. Maybe, in this darkest of dark places, the unicorn's path would also open with positive thoughts. It was worth a shot. So Pearl closed her eyes and cleared all those scary pictures from her mind. She thought of the things that made her feel warm and safe: fluffy pancakes, bird's nest, leprechaun slippers, hot cocoa, her parents tucking her in at night. And what was that? A soft, warm puff of air blew across her hand, and slowly she opened her eyes.